Looking at the portfolio of AI projects you're managing for next year, what is the one big thing that will change how PMs work in 2026 or maybe in 5-10 years down the line?
Okay, so I'm going to answer this question in two parts. Firstly, how will we be managing AI projects? And secondly, how AI will help us in program management, project management. So the first part is, I think in the coming years, AI is going to take a big role in most companies. Like everybody is AI this and AI that, so AI is involved big time. So when you're looking at the AI involvement, you need to understand what is the AI life cycle. It's very different from the software development life cycle. And you also need to understand your program management life cycle, like, when you do the initiation, when execution, monitoring, etc. Right? So combining these two would be of tremendous interest to everybody so that they know how to manage AI programs and how to iteratively map these to the business outcomes. And the second part would be,
Today, I am joined by a transformation specialist, program management, Leela Krishna. Leela brings over 20 years of experience from tech giants like Oracle and ServiceNow. She's an expert in navigating the worldwide of digital transformation, and she's here to talk us about the evolution of PMO, moving away from just rule-based engines and into the era of AI. We always talk about the iron triangle, the scope, schedule, and cost. But in 2026, there's a new force reshaping triangle. That's AI. How does a project manager move from managing simple tasks to overseeing complex neural networks and global data transformation? Today, we are going behind the scenes of modern PMO. Welcome back to PMP with Prachi. I'm your host, Prachi, and today I am joined by a transformation specialist, program management, uh, Leela Krishna. Leela brings over 20 years of experience from tech giants like Oracle and ServiceNow. She's an expert in navigating the worldwide of digital transformation, and she's here to talk us about the evolution of PMO, moving away from just rule-based engines and into the era of AI, master data management, and more. Leela, welcome to the show.
thank you so much, Prachi. It's always fun talking to you, and congratulations on your new podcast. I'm honored to be here, and do want to talk a little more about what I do.
I'm honored to have you on the show, Leela.
Wow, come on, thank you.
We will be talking about evolution of PM, PMO, AI, and data. But before that, you have had an impressive journey in the field of project management, like over 20 years.
Thank
Could you
you.
share a bit about your background and what drives your passion for Agile and AI?
So I've been in the field, like you said, for a long time, and I love what I do. Program management is something of more of a passion to me than anything else. So in the when I first joined, I started working as a product manager, and then I moved from product management to program management. And many people ask me, why did you do that? And the primary reason is that I'm a people person. I love interacting with people. I love setting up definitions and cadences to what work we are doing. And most importantly, I run the project like I run a product. So in a way, it is kind of similar, yet very different. So when I first started, it was everything was benefits based. You're on time, on schedule, and what's the benefit you're getting from it. So one of the primary reasons I think AI is going to have a big effect in portfolio and program management is that nowadays everything is outcome based. So we need to understand how the outcomes are aligned rather than just the benefits or on time on benefit deliverables. So with AI, you get an agile. It makes more sense to be in the agile methodologies because it creates clarity through iterations and accountability through transparency and trust through continuous feedback. How does AI do this now? How does AI amplify the agile methodology? So AI can remove the friction from program execution, from predicting delivery risks and surfacing dependencies in advance to improve the prioritization, to go over the quality signals, and eventually make a much better decision uh, at scale. So instead of spending time chasing status or reconciling data, our program leaders can now focus on strategy, trade-offs, and outcome. So one reason I really like this is because AI and Agile together provide intelligence project management, and it shifts from reactive coordination to proactive orchestration. And that's how I work. I do my work best. So I hope that answers your question.
So you have been in the industry for over 20 years and you have started from Waterfall to Agile and AI. So you have seen the evolution of project management. So particularly in projects like AI, which are heavily focused on AI, what do you think? Which framework, Waterfall or Agile framework, is enough for AI, or do you find yourself using more experiential or research based life cycle for your AI initiatives?
That's a very good question, Prachi. Thank you for asking that. As a program management has evolved through the years, we have seen different methodologies affect different transformations, right? So in the past, when we had waterfall, we had very clear requirements. Everything was set in a particular way, and you had to orchestrate based on that. And you were always looking at what your benefits are going to be. Are you getting the project done on time? Are you making sure that your resources are aligned properly, that your monitoring of your project is going on properly, you have your roadmaps, etc. But now, as we go forward into the digital transformation, and especially into the AI transformation, which is taking the industry by storm, we notice that there are certain nuances to that which we need to take care of. So one of the nuances is that everything right now is to be outcome based. Everybody is looking at business outcomes. So instead of looking at just the benefits and the time saved and the cost saved, you're looking at what is the business outcome which is tied to your particular delivery. So because it's business outcome, Agile works very well because Agile sets the cadence for adaptability. And the reason I like that is that, you have a certain algorithm, a certain form you follow. Like, for example, if you're looking at just say the development aspect of it, most of the AI models require a lot of time in data discovery and EDA. And after that, they move into the circle or into the cycle of development, etc. So for us, we spend a lot of time on that. And I've heard a lot of my um, colleagues say that, it takes a lot of time. We don't, why do we need to log it as an agile? Why do we even need to log it as a story? To which my answer would be at least log it as a spike, because there's a certain amount of time which has been spent, and we need to calculate the time also which has been spent on the project, so we can make it a spike and carry on from there. And the reason I think AI is involved with agility, now we talked about agile, so let's talk more about AI, because AI, by using AI, you can elevate the quality of decisions, because you preemptively know what you're going to be doing, and you have a predictive insight. That means AI can analyze the historical delivery data, the dependencies, the capacities, and the risk signals to predict future schedule outages or what could happen, future resource constraints or quality issues, much rather than traditional reporting. So this makes the project managers move from reactive escalation to proactive decision making. So this will actually help a lot. And also you can make decisions at scale, because AI synthesizes a very, very large amount of data. So you have lots of backlogs, metrics, signals, and you can turn these into actionable recommendations for prioritizing, sequencing, and yeah, even for trade-off, right? So this is especially powerful in a complex cross-organizational programs where human intuition just isn't enough by itself. You need some compounded aid. And thirdly, with the inclusion of AI in this, there is automation of low value work. So instead of a program manager sitting and sending manual status reports, the program manager can now actually automate it, and he or she can automate status discussion, documentation, even basic analysis, to be honest, right? So this frees the AI's project managers to f- frees from the mundane work to focus on leadership capabilities, right? Like you're aligning with the risk mitigation, your stakeholders communication gets better, you can have a certain more input in the strategy of the organization, and you can focus on leadership activities yourself. I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. So you are absolutely right that AI actually helps us automate things so we are more productive. Um, and I've observed that AI has not only helped us automate things as project managers, project program managers, but also in some cases it assists us. And in some cases, it's an augmentation.
Right. So, I mean, mostly all AI projects are probabilistic, right? They predict something. And success is not just binary. It's not that yes or no. It's measured through different metrics. So, you have to get used to that, like accuracy, precision, recall, drift, bias. This means that program managers must plan for experimentation as well, along with the iteration and the learning cycles, not just delivery milestones as it has been in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. And you spoke about Spike, and
Yes.
you consider that time in your project. So, how much time you think you actually spend over data governance for these projects?
So, as AI, what is the input is the output. So, if your training data is not good enough, if there are some discrepancies, then obviously you will have some hallucinations and more things. So, the most important thing right now is that you need to manage it in certain, because you're dealing with uncertainty and then you're dealing with the outcomes after that. So, you need a rigor of having thorough data, which is properly trained and properly installed, algorithm metrics, what are you calculating, and then continuous learning, because you learn from one model to go on to the next model and you keep iterating between that.
You spoke about hallucination risk in AI projects. So, how do you account for these unknown unknowns in your portfolio risk register?
So you always track it as an unknown risk. Risk can happen at any time. But because you're using AI for program management, you will have an insight as to what could fail in the project, or what are the other risks which you could come, because you've already analyzed previous models on which you worked for. And that will add a deeper perspective on how you can manage the current one. And coming back to the spike question would be more of the investigatory work. But then if people are spending time in doing that, that time also needs to be accounted for. So the way I look at it is spikes are important. Spikes will give you what you're looking for. But at the same time, the execution is also going on simultaneously, right? So you could be working on a spike for one deliverable, and the execution by the other teams is also going on at the same time. So I think they both are like definitely going in together.
Okay, yes, yes, absolutely. And what kind of tools do you use for these types of projects, particularly for project management?
So for project management, we use a lot of tools like Jira internally. In ServiceNow, there's a tool called SPM, and we use that a lot. And sometimes, if it's a smaller project or which doesn't have a regular methodology and it's a thing, then we could even use a Kanban board for it. But most of the times, we have a, a different model for AI, where you start with the EDA and then you go into data prep and then you go into modeling and then you go into scoring and feature adjustment and then QA. So it's not like an SDLC lifecycle where you have dev, QA, UAT. So this is slightly different, but we measure everything. And that's why even spikes are included, because you need to understand how much time you're spending on doing discovery.
And do you use AI tools like ServiceNow has its own tool like
Yes, SPM.
Now Assist?
Oh,
So,
Now Assist. Yes, that is used.
all
Big
the time.
time for everything. Yes, that's a great tool actually. Now Assist is like you can ask it any question, and it's kind of nice that you get answers really fast at your fingertips instead of waiting to talk to a person and figuring out what the next steps are.
So, talking about AI, can you explain the difference between AI and rule based engines in project management? And how do you decide which approach is more suitable given your project?
Right. So for rule-based engines, right, we rely on, how should I say, explicit, clear, predefined logic. For example, if X happens, then Y will happen. So this is very deterministic, transparent, and predictable for all rules-based engines, right? It's easier to understand, easier to explain, fast to implement. This is much easier for us to do that. But in AI, what happens is that you're looking to learn patterns from data and make probabilistic decisions. So they improve as they see more data and can handle more complexity. So the more you run it, you can get more. You can handle much more complex data and a lot of uncertainty. So the strength for this is you adapt to the changing condition as your project is going on. If the conditions are changing, then this would be a very agile way to do that. You can handle um, ambiguity at and large amounts of data, and you can identify patterns which the human which us as people might miss, or even the rule base might miss, because the scale is so large. It's easier for you to identify certain patterns, and scale is it's so large that having the scale is very important in complex environments where you're having a big network of projects, or a, a program which is run based on multiple systems. So
Uh-huh.
um, I don't see at least AI and rule based systems as competing approaches. I think rules provide control and clarity, whereas AI provides adaptability, insights. And the best solution would be to use a mix of both. So you'll be based on what the problem is, how the data looks like, and what is the risk tolerance the PMO is handling.
What I'm hearing is um, rule based engine is more like a machine or engine, and AI is a vehicle which you. Uh,
Well, I would say that you need both of them to drive down the road, right?
yes. Yeah. And talking about data projects have their unique challenges, right? So, based on your experience, how does managing data projects differ from other types of projects? And what does master data management mean in that context?
So master data is it's the it's the basic data which is held by every company. It falls into different domains, like you have customer data, and you have site data, addresses and stuff, and then you also have product data. So you have different types of data, and what MDM does is it maintains a single source of truth for all this data. That means, like, for customer, you have a cleansed customer record, which is also being standardized. You want to make sure the spellings and all uppercase, lowercase are all maintained. And it's also been governed, because, you need to understand where the data is and how it is going to be used. And also, this is not transactional data. Like, transactional data is something which happens when you do a transaction and it gets done. This is metadata. This is data which will always be there and will be used in different functions of your applications. So having a clean MDM is very important. For example, you have you're in the same organization, and your billing department is sending your customer a bill with a certain name, like Alex S. Smith. But when your marketing department is sending another email to the same person, it could be having a different kind of data. Like, for example, it could say Alex SS, etc. Right? So then what happens is the same customer who's getting the same communication from the same organization, but his name or her name are spelled in two different ways. So it creates a bad impression for that. And also in terms of getting the right billing cycles, getting the right address. Is the address changed, has the address been moved? All that information resides in the MDM solutions.
Okay. So here I would like to shift gears and focus on digital transformation. I think digital transformation is the key driver of change in any organization, right? So, how do you see these trends impacting the way projects are managed, and what advantages do cloud based solutions offer over traditional tools?
So what I think is, like I've been saying before, we are shifting program project management from static plan driven execution to continuous and data driven delivery. I think it's very important because the data is continuous and it is data driven, right? So that is a fundamental shift which takes place. So in essential, digital transformations turn program management into insights driven capability, and cloud solutions provide the foundation that makes it possible. Hence, they're integrated. So projects typically in the past were had fixed plans, had periodic reporting, had siloed tools, but digital transformation introduces, I would say, introduces faster release cycles, better cross-functional team collaboration, and real-time data, which means that project management could be more adaptive, transparent, and integrated again with the business outcomes. That is the mantra, business outcomes. So now project managers are increasingly expected to act as orchestrators rather than presenters of the data, right? So you are aligning teams, technology, and strategy rather than just tracking milestones and tasks.
Yeah, instead of administrative, we are more focused on strategic
Yes,
results. Yes, and that is because of data driven decision making, and because of AI, we are getting that advantage.
right.
Yeah, and you recently just mentioned about data driven decision making. Talking about that, you mentioned in this episode about data driven decision making is crucial in project management. So, how do you ensure that your team maintains a laser focus on data, and what tools or practices do you find most effective on data analysis and visualization?
Okay. Good question again. So, first, I start small. I have a small, consistent set of metrics which are directly tied to the outcomes. So, everything for us is based on the OKRs, and our metrics need to be tied to the OKRs. So rather than getting the team to work on too many dashboards, we align on a handful of leading and lagging indicators which we are aware of. Delivery predictability, look at the cycle time, the risk burn down, and the quality signals, and the outcome adoption. So this creates kind of a clarity and avoids for the lack of a better word, metrics fatigue, I would say, right? So once the consistent set of metrics has been directly attached to the outcomes or tied to the outcomes, we look into the existing cadences. Like there could be some sprints which are already running, and we can start with that. So over this time, the team can ask, what does the data tell us before we can proposition solutions, because we already know what the data looks like. Then of course you need to focus on data hygiene, because everything, like again, what comes in is what really goes out. So data hygiene and ownership. So metrics are only useful if they can be trusted, but if they're not, if they're garbage is garbage in and garbage out, I make sure that the data sources are well defined, automated where and when possible, and have clear owners so teams know what's being measured and why.
From a portfolio governance perspective, how do you ensure that your projects are meeting ethical standards and not just chasing the efficiency?
So we do follow the ESG, sustainability and the ESG metrics. So we're looking at environmental, social, and governance. So what we do is that we have automated compliance monitoring. So AI can continuously scan policies, controls, logs, and documentation, uh, which could flag what is an ESG regulation which is being broken, or what are the regulatory requirements, which is like GDPR, ISO, etc. So we have to make sure that we are following on that. Then secondly, it can give us via program management, we can track the risk management. And this is identify the ESG risks. What are the security vulnerables? How is the data being misused? Or operational inefficiencies. Before they become an incident, you're able to predict them. And explainability and transparency plays a big role in this, because AI driven explainability tools will help to ensure decisions, especially automated ones, that they are auditable and defensible, which is critical when you're handling federal projects and big government trust projects.
Mhm. And you mentioned about sustainability and ESG. So I think it's playing a major role in all the companies
Yes.
lately. And do you think it should fall under project management? And why do you think it should fall under project management?
If your practices in the project are not ESG compliant, or are they're not or even cybersecurity, if they're not involving cybersecurity or doing that, then your whole the premise of doing your project correctly is not any longer correct, right? So you have to keep all those things in mind before you initiate a project. Always have those tools and things in advance.
Looking at the portfolio of AI projects you're managing for next year, what is the one big thing that will change how PMs work in 2026 or maybe in 5, 10 years down the line?
Okay, so I'm going to answer this question in two parts. Firstly, how will we be managing AI projects? And secondly, how AI will help us in program management, project management. So, the first part is I think in the coming years, AI is going to take a big role in most companies. Like everybody is AI this and AI that, so AI is involved big time. So, when you're looking at the AI involvement, you need to understand what is the AI life cycle. It's very different from the software development life cycle. And you also need to understand your program management life cycle, like, when you do the initiation, when execution, monitoring, etc. Right. So combining these two would be of tremendous interest to everybody so that they know how to manage AI programs and how to iteratively map these to the business outcomes. And the second part would be that, how does AI help us in program management? AI can do a lot. It can, all the mandatory manual tasks can be automated. AI can predict in advance if you look at the old data and the patterns as to what the risks could be leading to a certain project, like I mentioned before. AI could also let us know if there is going to be a resource imbalance or anything based on the prediction, based on similar models which have been taken out in the past. So I think a combination of AI in program management and program management of AI is going to be of the future vision for everyone. Likewise. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Leela, for sharing your insights. What an incredible dive from the technical nuances of rule based engines to the strategic importance of MDM and data driven decision making. Leela has shown us that being a project manager in 2026 is about so much more than just checking the boxes. It's about being a data driven leader who isn't afraid of bash off regardless.
Uh, I love that phrase. We used to use it a lot, bash on regardless. So, yeah, thank you for that.
For those of you currently in the trenches studying for PMP exam, I hope today's conversation showed you where those hours of study are actually leading. The principles of Agile and the rigor of MDM we discussed today are exactly why the certification is so valuable. It's the foundation that allows you to lead these massive AI transformation. If you found Leela's insights on AI and data projects helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell icon so you don't miss our next expert interview. And I want to hear from you. Which part of AI project management feels the most challenging? Is it the data, the algorithms, or the shifting mindset? Let me know in the comments. And thank you again for tuning in to PMB with Prachi. Keep learning forward, keep leading, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye bye. And thank you so much again, Leela, for joining us with these incredible insights.
My pleasure. And I do highly encourage everyone to get their PMP certification. It goes long in the long run. And Prachi, your podcast is uh, im- super impressive. So happy to partake in them.
Thank you.